So it was pretty wild. But again, everybody was so kind, and Andrew's like patting me on the back, it's okay, buddy, that sort of thing. So
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I'm your host, Kirby Hossman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star, and he's a big deal in the industry. He's the president and CEO of PPAI, Drew Holmgreen. Thank you so much for joining me, man.
absolutely, Kirby, happy to do it.
Yeah, so, we met right as you took the helm at PPAI at the very beginning of the PPAI Expo. So for those who don't know what that is, Promotional Products Association International is the big expo. It's one of the biggest trade shows in Las Vegas. And you started like the day before or the day of that began, right?
Yeah, I started on January 10th, and the show started on January 13th. So I had a nice space in between where I did board meetings just to get everything, nice and easy. Load in was easy for this one. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So what was it like to take over at that time? And what, I guess then, since you took over right at the expo, what was your impressions of Expo this year?
Yeah. Two big questions there.
Yeah.
Taking over right as Expo was starting, and legitimately my first day on the job was having a dinner with the board, of which I'd met, a number of them, but not all of them. So that was pretty wild. It was great because the board of directors that we have at PPAI, it mirrors the community in general. Just incredibly supportive, incredibly kind and welcoming. That happened to coincide with Texas playing Ohio State in the college football playoffs. And wouldn't you know it, two of our board members are Ohio State grads and I'm a Texas grad. So that was happening during our board dinner. So
Jeez.
Andrew Spellman, there were no TVs where we were having our board dinner. And Andrew pulled out his iPad, and we had it sitting in front of us. And of course, Kara is one of our big Ohio State grads. And she happened to walk in towards the end of dinner, right when Quinn Ewers fumbled the ball and it was returned for a touchdown to pretty much put the game away. She walks in with a little hair clip that says OHIO on it. And I was like, this is a great way to start. So it was pretty wild. But again, everybody was so kind, and Andrew's like patting me on the back, it's okay, buddy, that sort of thing. So that's a moment I won't forget. I also won't forget. So that night, Danny Rosen did such a nice thing, and I've still got this, and I'm going to get it framed. So he took a piece of letterhead from the restaurant where we were eating, and he got everybody at the table to quietly just write like a little comment of inspiration for me. And then it found its way into my hotel room and was sitting on my table in the hotel room. And that was really, really cool. But again, it reemphasized what I had anticipated about this community, just that welcomeness, the kindness, the creativity associated with it. That was a really cool moment. So, but the expo itself, man, it was remarkable. So coming from my background, the association where I came from, Meeting Professionals International, we actually participated in a show called IMEX America, which is a little bit smaller than Expo. It's about 15,000 attendees, whereas Expo is about 16,000. So what was interesting is that it was also held at Mandalay, and I had and I've been going to this show for years. So I already had kind of in my head what this setup was going to look like, and it was completely different.
Really?
Much more. So I was accustomed to coming into this space with these 100 by 100 footprint, 3-story tall, massive experiences, that they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, from Hilton to Dubai to all these big exhibitors. And as great as that show is, there was also, it felt overly salesy and formal. And that's what I was really accustomed. The meeting and event space are just like the promo space. The people in it are wonderful. They're warm, they're welcoming, they're extremely positive, but they're also very kind of buttoned up and extremely polished. And to be real honest, Kirby, I'm not. I'm not a buttoned up, polished person, even though I've got my vest on right now. So what I found instead is that, this community is what I was accustomed to in my agency space, in my marketing space. Very creative, maybe not as polished, but in a way that is so genuine and smart and innovative. So I kept having these conversations and seeing the way that some of the spaces were built with such intentionality and a little bit more utilitarian than what I experienced in the past. And what I really had to get myself prepped for, and some of my team members here had told me, is we're very much a huggy industry. And I said, that's cool, man. Event professionals are very huggy as well. And I was told, no, we're really huggy. So just get your get your comfort level up for that. And it was spot on. I mean, just
Yeah.
hug after hug. And I mean, it was great. I mean, dude, it's my third day on the job. It's a big job. I'm completely new to the industry. So just to have that kind of truly warm and genuine welcome it was awesome. It set the stage, and it made me really feel very comfortable with the situation I'm coming into.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that you were welcomed in the way that we'd hoped that you'd be welcomed in. So that's really cool. And pure Danny Rosen, right? Like that to do the letterhead. That's
Yeah.
anybody who knows Danny. That is not surprising and always so cool. So that's really good. So again, now you've been in for a couple months, right? The job, and I'm sure you had opinions about it in advance. So now that you've been here, what are maybe something that's been confirmed, maybe that you had in advance, and what are some things that have
Yeah.
surprised you?
Yeah. So, at my core, I'm a marketing guy. So I was in the ad agency space for 17 years and then at MPI for 7. One of the things that I missed at MPI was just that pure sense of marketing. And when the position was brought to me, coincidentally, or maybe not, by the same recruiter who placed me at MPI, I really had to do a little bit of soul searching about what my next jump is, and I'm not, I'm a very transparent guy, Kirby. I don't pull any punches, and in all truthness, I had not considered the association space as my next jump, or in this case, what I consider to be my final jump. I thought I would go on to work at another big brand, or I'd go work for another agency or something like that. But one of the things I really liked about the association space was the people, and just I loved. I said it a second ago how warm and welcoming and kind and genuine people are, and how open they are. Um, so that was my expectation coming into this role. But when I really started to dial back where I wanted to go next, I knew I wanted to be in marketing. And then I started to think about, well, if I really like the people in the community side of what MPI offers, but I really miss the marketing side, and I've been thinking about going to be a CMO or something like that at a big brand, or going back to the agency space. Well, now I'm actually combining the two. I'm combining my passion for marketing, my interest in marketing, my desire to spend the rest of my career in marketing, and I'm pulling it together with the people aspect. And so that was kind of what I expected coming into this job, is I would see and be able to feel the passion and creativity that comes with marketing. I would be able to continue to have the benefit of connections to people who are genuinely interested in the greater good of what they're doing. So, 64-ish days in, that's what I'm experiencing. So it's playing out as I had anticipated. Now, I'm not going to tell you there haven't been some pretty significant surprises along the way. I did not anticipate the type of advocacy efforts that we find ourselves in with tariffs and different fees being thrown at this industry. So those have been some unwelcome surprises. But again, the community, whether it's our government relations advisory council, our board, et cetera, they're just all in to do whatever they can to help support and drive success. So it's just all pairing up the way I anticipated.
That's cool. That's cool. So one of the big things that we're talking about is sustainability, right? It's been a growing topic in our industry, and I think rightfully so. It's exciting to be on this side of it and seeing it happen. So, and I know about some of the initiatives for sure, but how do you see PPAI helping drive sustainable initiatives in promo?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways. One is being better informed. So what you'll see some outputs from us towards the end of this year is our involvement in studies that will help really give us some data points. The one area where I think we can be better and smarter is how we factually and definitively represent the industry, and our stakeholders, and that's through data. So we are in the process now of going through a number of different pathways to get more data that is definitive, that can define what our industry is doing in terms of its carbon footprint, in terms of creating benchmarks and that sort of thing. So these are two things that we are pursuing immediately. In addition to informing, it's also a matter of educating. So we've got our annual responsibility summit that takes place. Don't hold me to the dates because I can't remember just everything right now, but I
Yeah,
know
that's
that
fair.
this year, I believe it's in Coronado, California. So doing education through our responsibility summit, expanding our education portfolio through our professional development courses. These are ways in which we can inform, educate, and become better within the industry that will ultimately drive change. And as we get those data points, we can then use them for advocacy, because there are groups out there that are seeking to embattle the branded merch industry. And there's some true facts behind the sustainability that our products do offer, whether that's second life when something moves on to from one person to the next, or the actual breakdown of some of the products that we have and the long-term use of some of the products that we have. So it's all education, it's all informing, and that's where we're focusing our attention.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I get excited about that because I think as someone who, I think this is where PPI has a great part to play, because as a distributor in the industry, I get very excited when I get fed those kind of pieces and information so that I can share those things. And so I appreciate your work in that way. So I guess final question for you. What's the one thing, obviously you said you're 60 some days in, you're still very new, but as you look forward, put the crystal ball out there, what's one thing you're most excited about for the future of the industry?
Yeah, it's ultimately where my vision sets for this industry, and it's to elevate it. So going dialing it back to my brand days, my agency days, I had a very smart mentor of mine who I actually having beers with next week. His his philosophy, he's one of the best visual brand guys that I've ever met, brand designers that I've ever met. His philosophy was that the visual expression of a brand, typically its logo, should always fit right on a baseball cap. And what we found ourselves doing when we were pitching creative concepts is we would bring the ask was always, what's it look like on a TV spot? What's it look like on a print ad, on a digital banner, et cetera? Well, yeah, we'd provide all of that, but then we'd also provide a T-shirt, a cap, a pint glass, something like that, some swag item that met the identity of the brand. What we would always find in meeting with these clients is they would always say, let's go on the spot, let's go on the ad, let's do this, let's do that. They would never say, okay, boy, that swag is awesome, let's go do that. The agencies get it. The agencies understand it. The brands don't. And so what I get excited about is the opportunity to get the brands excited about merch as well.
Love
Because when
that.
you look at some of the brands that are doing it right, and I'll tell you, I gave this example just yesterday. If you watch the show Severance, Apple is doing it right. Just don't spoil it for me if you're watching it, Kirby, because I'm on season 2, episode 5. Not watching it.
Nope,
Oof.
not watching it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a good one. So
Okay.
season 2, episode 5, they show a coffee mug that prints, and I'm not going to give it away to anybody, that prints something on it. And this is the perfect example of a brand like Apple taking swag and building it into the plot line of its show. It's brilliant. So now if you go online and start searching up that what was printed onto the mug, because I don't want to give it away, you'll start to find all of these distributors who are creating that mug now. And that's just how it spirals. It's a brand that gets it. There's countless other brands that get it. Here in Texas, there's Buc-ee's, there's Whataburger. They're all printing their own swag and they're selling it. Some of these brands get it, some of them don't. So I would love to see years down the line, we've got the CMO of Nike on stage and he's talking about the value of branded merch. Because when I'm wearing a Nike shirt, that's all it is. It's just branded merch, but
Yeah.
people don't consider it. And so that's where I get really excited, is elevating the brand within the brand space.
Love that. And this is going off script here, Drew, but I understand you're a craft beer guy, so I think we'll be kindred spirits in that. I actually owned a brewery at one point, so
Really?
I'm ready to have an IPA with you anytime.
Anytime,
So
man. Anytime. Yeah, I love a good, I love just a good, kind of standard IPA or a good hazy IPA. Yeah, I'm good for that. I spend a lot of time, as much time as I can in Colorado, and I try and drink the dry of IPAs while I'm there.
I love it. Good call. Well, Drew, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. Thank you so much for taking the time. We'll have to do it again sometime. Okay.
Glad to do it, Kirby. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.